wonderful presentation of today's book. You are most welcome, sir.
Thank you. I thank God Almighty for an opportunity to be with you today, our brothers and sisters, and I congratulate the author for this wonderful book. But more importantly, I congratulate the wife of the author for allowing the author to think straight, because people who don't think straight don't write books. And people who write books, they are the people who help us to capture immortality out of our mortality. I thank the chairman and other dignitaries. I thank all of you, and I'm most especially honored to see Baba Adewole today. So I'm sure Baba is listening to me as a linguist and finding out whether my linguistic skills are up to date. I got to know about Baba from his students at University of Lagos. Many of them now are older men too. And I thank Baba for bearing the standard of Christianity in public life. I recall your housemaid of many years for whom you built a house. I don't know what is more Christian than that. And Baba, over the years, used to ask people one question: what did God tell you? And I think if a Christian in politics, warfare, wherever he finds himself, he is always asking himself, what is God telling me? If every Christian can ask that question, we don't even need this book anymore. Because if you do what God tells you, you don't need to read any book. Christianity is not an infirmity. It's not a handicap. It's not a disability. Because I've seen that debate. People say, how can I be a politician when I'm a Christian? Christianity is not a disability that you should consider like lack of money, lack of education, and other things. Christianity is an empowerment. Christians are supposed to be Christian warriors. There used to be this song, Onward Christian Soldiers. So if you are prepared to war and defeat the devil, how can you not triumph in politics? But the greatest challenge to a Christian, the greatest problem you find with Christians, whether in politics, whether in public service, whether in business, is how to be Christian enough. So many people we find who falter in politics. It is not because of politics. It is because of them not being Christian enough. And that is true of our brothers who are Muslims. Any Muslim who is an obnoxious neighbor, who is troublesome, who is aggressive and violent, he is not Muslim enough. Because if you are Muslim, you will learn submission to the will of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will learn justice. And a man who is humble and in total submission to God and who wants justice is the best neighbor you can have. Is the best partner you can have. And is the best leader you can have if they are in leadership. Therefore, let us not separate Christianity and Christian requirements from politics. A good Christian will be a good follower. And a good Christian, if given leadership, will look up to Jesus and say, that's my leader. What would Jesus do? Even a baby can answer it. Sometimes when I'm challenged in my Christianity, as I do get challenged from time to time, when I'm tempted by difficult questions, I will skip the church. I will go to the children's section of the church. I will start my catechism from the beginning. When you sit in the children's section of the church, you will learn your Christianity again. Even if you are a bishop or archbishop, occasionally go to the Sunday school, sit with the children, and learn Christianity the way Jesus taught it. It's not complicated. There's no eschatology there. There's no theology there. There's no doctrine there. A simple way to be the child of God. Therefore, when I listen to the author and I see the problems that bothered him, those problems are problems of Sunday school. They are not problems that are complicated. Do not lie. It's not such a difficult thing to understand, even though it's a difficult thing to do. Do not take what does not belong to you. It's not such a difficult thing to understand, even though it's a difficult thing to do. Do not be greedy. Do not worry about earthly things. And do unto others what you wanted to do unto you. These are not difficult things to understand, but they are difficult to do. So when you see a Christian who is malfunctioning in politics, he was already malfunctioning in the church. But the church either did not pay attention or the church is involved in grand cover-up. If you find a Muslim who is dysfunctional in politics, he was already dysfunctional in the 5 pillars of Islam. But if it's Baba Din of the entire Jama'ah who is going to criticize him, but politics is where you go and wrestle with the devil. And the devil can do what the pastor failed to do. The devil will do what the imam fails to do. The devil will expose your real self to the public. That is why they will say, you used to be a good brother in the church. How come EFCC says that he has built 700 houses? The money was given to the church was stolen before. That house, which you come to lunch and pray, was built from stolen money. The bishop should know that no brother earns enough salary in public service to donate 100 million to the church. So sometimes the Christians and Muslims allow the devil to remind them that he used to be an angel of God, and he can still help God to expose liars. That is why I tell my brothers and sisters, why do you go to Jerusalem to hold on the stone, the wall to wail? Why do you go to Mecca to stone the devil? When the money with which you bought the ticket to fly to Mecca to stone the devil was collected from the devil himself. So, let us not therefore think that this book is about politics. This book is not about politics. This book is about Christianity. It's a reminder that when you use Christianity to claim membership of a board, you use Islam to claim a governorship position. You say you want to do Christians ticket, Muslim ticket. Solomon Dalun and I were confronted with this problem in the 2023 election. I was having fun and he was getting angry. Because Solomon Dalun belongs to that school of thought that believes in justice, that says, how can you have a Christian, Muslim, animist, traditional ruler, traditional believer in a country and somebody wants to do Muslim or Christian, he was very angry. And he was giving speeches about why our leaders should not do that. But I was laughing about it because my view is that if they want to do Muslim ticket, I'm not against it. My concern is, where would they get the Muslims? Where would they see two Muslims at the same time in Nigeria of today? If you can find two Muslims, give them the power. I don't mind Muslim ticket. If you can find two Christians, I don't mind. Give them the power. Let them do Christian tickets. But the people who were looking for two Muslims, a Muslim ticket, did not have a single Muslim now, because neither of them is a Muslim. So they got a devil ticket, 0 ticket. So it doesn't matter that because they were Muslim. If you had done a Christian ticket without looking for the Christian first, you will still end up the same way. So it is not politics that is the greatest challenge of a Christian or a Muslim. Self-conquest. Because the devil doesn't live in Makkah. So going there to stone the devil is just symbolic. The devil lives within us. So when you are sitting in business class and you are the Amirul Hajj and you are leading delegation behind you, the devil is sitting with you there. When you are picking 2 stones, the devil will pick 5 and say, add to this, stone the wall. Because we are going back to Nigeria together. So when you go to Jerusalem and say you are JP, and I went to a meeting, and this is the only anecdote I will give. I went to a meeting in one ministry, and the first challenge I had was that people were complaining about the list of people who were supposed to go to Jerusalem. And the person in charge of it is appointed by the president, but is also a chaplain. And people were bitter that it is not the amount of money that was supposed to be given by people that was given. And the list of people whose name are supposed to go to Jerusalem are not the names that are meeting there. So I looked at that and I said, it is better for these people to stay at home and resolve this issue than take it to the birthplace of Jesus Christ. Then later, I was to tell the funny story to a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine who was a permanent secretary. And when I got to that permanent secretary's office, as I was about to mention it, he told me his own problem. And he said, contractors are not reliable. I said, what happened? He said, no, I'm telling you, contractors, businessmen are highly unreliable. I said, what happened? He said, there's this businessman who has money to collect in our ministry. And he has not collected the money for many years. He came to me and said, I should help him do it. And I told him to give me money. He agreed to give me the money. I did it for him, and he has not paid me. And what's annoying me is that I told him that my wife and I want to use that money to go to Umrah. And this wicked man has not paid me the money. And I told him, this man is an angel of God. He said, how? I said, how will you use riba, bribe money, to go to Umrah? So these are the challenges that we face in the country. So let us not worry ourselves about Christian or Muslim in politics. let us worry ourselves as to whether we have Muslims or Christians in Nigeria at all. Because I travel around the world. 2 weeks ago, I was in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. I'm not from there. I don't know what they are up to, but they are Muslims. And no hungry people there. Very few homeless people. You have to look around before you can find. So those Muslims there, is it not the same Islam that we have here? This city of Ilorin is known worldwide as one of the centers of Islamic civilization. It's also a thriving place for the work of Jesus Christ. So I can suspect that was why people here were angry when traditional worshippers wanted to demonstrate their own religion. And they were united that this should not happen. This place is home of Christianity and home of Islam. And when people were complaining, and somebody says it's a human rights thing, I said, leave it. Don't join them. At least there's one thing that the Muslims and Christians of KWARA State or Ilorin are united about. They don't want traditional worshippers. But they're not united about doing justice to the poor. They are not united about ensuring that thieves don't become their governors. They are not united that there should be no hungry people in this city of God. They are not ashamed to see naked people walking on the street. They are not ashamed of the injustice that pervades the land. So if all of us come to politics, I can imagine a national assembly where the Christians come with their Bible and the Muslims come with the Quran, and they now match that with the Constitution and say that nobody should violate these books. You do not need Auditor General to audit the account anymore. So in conclusion, I recall what I told Khan when I addressed Khan as a presidential candidate. I told Khan that the house of God should not be a place to gather voters, because it has become a new enterprise. If you have a big church with big followers, politicians will come because politicians need crowd. If you are a well-known sheikh and you preach very well and you are strong in the hadith and all the knowledge of Islam, you have following. So politicians will come to you so that you can speak to their followers. But the mission of Christianity in Nigeria is not to gather crowd for politicians. It's to gather crowd for Christ. And the mission of God to Christians in Nigeria, especially the clergymen, is not to take care of Christians in Nigeria. God did not send the missionaries to Nigeria to take care of Christians. Because when Christians came, there were no Christians in Nigeria. That's why they came. They came to create Christians out of the population. So the mission of Christ in Nigeria is for the church to come and make Christians, make disciples for Nigeria. Therefore, if you have a Christian in the house who is already in the house, and you have another brother who is not of the Christian faith, who is outside, Christ will expect you, before you give food to the brother who is in the church, you give to that one who is outside. If there is injustice to a non-Christian, the Christian should rise before they rise for injustice against Christians. That is how Christ wants it. Therefore, when you have a country where Muslims are the keepers of Christians, and Christians are the keepers of Muslims, and both Muslims and Christians are the keepers of the so-called non-believers, that is when religion has entered Nigeria. So I will say this, that three things the church can do for politics, not more. There is no way God wants to choose a good leader in Nigeria and will seek the permission of pastors or imams. God does not seek the permission of anybody. So the three things that the church can do. One is for the church to produce Christians that are so good that they will be natural leaders in the country. These Christians will be so prepared, well cooked in the church, that when they go anywhere, people will see the light of Christ in them and say, this man is righteous. That way, you don't even need to say, give power to Christians. Everywhere they go, when people see the quality in them, the honesty, the sincerity, the humility, the diligence, they will say, let us use this person. Second thing that the church can do is to speak the truth to leaders. Because leaders like to go to church. And even if the pastor, from reading too much Bible, cannot see far, the politicians tend to sit in front, so you can't miss them. So, if that's the case, you tell them the truth. When a person is about to steal public money, about to rig elections, about to tell lies, he should be afraid of two people. If he has parents and wives and family members, he should say, if I steal this money, how will I explain the source to my family? There was an American drug enforcement officer who devil turned his head and started selling drugs that he captured. How was he discovered? Because he did not know how to tell his wife where the additional money was coming from. So he lied to his wife that he won a lottery. Because they were living in a small flat. And he bought a nice car, bought another house. The wife will not move to that house without asking, where did you get the money? So he told a lie that he won a lottery. Because that was the only way the woman would accept to spend the money. And in the course of it, he got exposed because the wife was telling everybody that the husband won a lottery. And in their office, you don't play lottery. So the husband was given a query for playing lottery. From there, he said, I didn't win any lottery. Then the whole truth came out. Secondly, if you have no parents, and your wife is also corrupt like you should be afraid of your religious leaders. That how will I do it? How will I tell the church? And how will I tell the Muslim woman? The third thing that the church can do for Christianity is to accept that a Christian can never rule forever. Every counselor will not be a Christian. Every governor will not be a Christian. Every president will not be a Christian. Because it's written in the book of Proverbs that when the righteous are on the throne, the people rejoice. As at that time, Christianity had not been established. That saying of God, that when the righteous are on the throne, people will rejoice, was more than 3,000 years before Christianity was established. So that righteous did not mean Christian. And Christianity came before Islam. So that word righteous does not mean Muslim. So if the church is not sectarian, if the church is only spiritual, to know that when the righteous rule, the people will rejoice. And it is true, I concede, that if you are born in the Christian tradition, you have the opportunity to be righteous. But many will not take that opportunity. So mere appellation of a Christian does not make you righteous. But it gives you an opportunity to learn righteousness, which will show in your speech, in your conduct, in your demeanor, and in your value and aspirations. Therefore, I submit that there is no conflict in Christianity and politics, as there is no conflict between Islam and politics, and there is no conflict between any other religion and politics. But there is a conflict between good and evil, right and wrong, just and unjust, honesty and dishonesty, kindness and wickedness. And all of these attributes, they do not need religion before they settle in your heart. The religion can give you a ladder to climb fast the hill of righteousness. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause once again to wonderful speech.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. On behalf of the chairman of the event, the book author, and the book owner, which is the wife of the author, and our leaders with us on the high table and the entire audience, we present this book written by our brother AKOGUN OYEDIPO, titled Politics, Politicians, and Christianity, to the glory of God and the edification of all readers and Nigeria. And this book, the publishers would advertise what the selling price is, and I believe that anyone who has come here should, individually or as a group, purchase copies of this book. There is no account details provided, but give the money to Madam. She knows how to, Madam knows how to keep the money. They said the account details is attached, but the real money should go to Madam. So, everybody, here is your book, Politics, Politicians, and Christianity by AKOGUN OYEDIPO.
Thank you very much. Thank you.